We're back with a daily live stream. The way this usually goes is I'll look through some news, give like a basic macro overview. I'll go through a basic vol trade and like kind of analyze how a vol trade looks like, and then I'll look at earnings and calendars. And then after that, if you guys have any trade ideas you want me to look over, I'll do that as well. So let's just quickly open like the Wall Street Journal here. We're seeing so OPEC's output slipping in April ahead of like Saudi production cuts. So I'm guessing what's happening is like the oil market's a little stressed and oil prices are going up. So that's something to watch out for if you are trading like energy companies. Another thing that's happening is the hey John, how's it going? Hey everybody. I'm just looking at the news right now. Nothing, you haven't missed too much yet, but we're seeing some stress in the commercial real estate sector as well. I think yesterday there was some news where some banks are no longer lending for like office buildings and whatnot. And yeah, we're seeing like bonds backed by apartments under stress as well. So, excuse me, that actually ties into well, what trade we're looking at today. So today we're looking at SLG. So I ran a basic scan on the terminal and I found SLG. This is a SL Green Realty Corp. It's a office building real estate investment trust. And if you're looking at their IV, oh, I'm still in US, so give me a second. There we go. You can see vols have just blown up in the last like 2 months or so. It was like chilling at around like 40-ish, and then it's spiked all the way up to 100 something, and now kind of settling in around 85 or so. So I'm kind of seeing like this to be an opportunity to sell here, because it seems like everyone's kind of worried about the real estate industry not doing so well, but realized vol hasn't really picked up as much as the market thinks. Just looking at the price here, it has been pretty bad actually. So we started at like maybe like $60 a year ago, and now we're down to like 20. But as you can see, most of the vol was like maybe in this little chunk here from like Feb to April, and it's kind of leveled off since then. So unless like something suddenly collapses, we're not really looking at any increased vol for the next little bit, I'm guessing. What I'm gonna do, because I can't really remember numbers, is I'm gonna pull up like a notepad and just note down what kind of vols we're seeing, so I can refer to them later. So we're seeing an IV of 85 and a realized vol of 65. So I'm just gonna write that down. And we're also looking at our forecast here, which says 55, which kind of makes sense because if stuff calms down, then we're gonna see vol drop. So just looking at historical data, we can get these data points here. With a Y, volatility with a Y, 55. So these numbers are going to come in really handy when we try to like forecast the future volatility later on. But just looking from the historical data, IV seems really high. RV is going to be a little lower. Our forecast of volatility says, the stock isn't going to move so much. It's looking good from an absolute standpoint, but then what we want to do is we want to go do some relative value analysis and see, like, do other real estate stocks look the same way? So we go to the normally we go to the relative value and the correlation finder, but I couldn't seem to find anything that was like super correlated today. ESRT is, but the volume's pretty terrible, so the data's not going to be as good. What I did find was an ETF called IYR, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the iShares real estate ETF. Yeah, so it's the iShares US real estate ETF. Running the correlation, we can see like it's pretty decent. We're hovering at around like 70-ish. It's not great, but it'll do. You can see the general trend is roughly the same. You see SLG is like a little more volatile. You're like a little above IYR, and then you fall a little below. But the direction and the daily, day-to-day stuff should be roughly the same. So it's good enough, I guess. Hopping on over to the relative value tab, we're trying to plot the IV-RV ratio of the two of them. You can see that for the last while, the IV of SLG has just been pretty high, to the point where like there's just a bigger premium compared to an ETF, which is kind of weird because we know like ETFs should have a bigger variance risk premium. So this lets us know like, hey, maybe vols are overpriced on this stock. What we can do now is like kind of try to figure out what the vol of SLG really should be, especially given like the IV-RV ratio of IYR. So what we can do is we can see like SLG's IV is 88, SLG's realized vol is 65. That gives us a ratio of what the key metric says like 1.34 IV-RV ratio. But if you look at IYR, it's only 1.12. So what would IV look like if SLG had the same IV-RV ratio as if SLG had the same IV-RV ratio as IYR? So we're seeing a 1.38, but if we bring down the vols, how much does vol have to fall before it's 1.12? And we can just pull up a calculator here and kind of figure that out. So 1.12 of the realized vol, which is about 66 times 1.12. So if SLG's IV-RV ratio is the same as IYR's, the implied vol would have to be like 74, roughly. So I'm just going to write that down because that's going to help us forecast volatility later. We can also see for SLG, the average premium is actually only 1.01. So implied vol, you can see historically, like implied vol and realized vol are like basically the same. So if the implied vol was fairly priced, realized vol should be out at the same level, which yeah, which is kind of sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but you can see just in general like the IV-RV spread is like pretty big all of a sudden. There was something in my notes here that I'm kind of forgetting. Give me a moment. So just to recap, we've looked at implied vol, realized vol, our PA forecast. We've also looked at the adjusted IV-RV ratio. And what we can do is kind of like take a blend of all of these to kind of get a forecast of where we think volatility is actually going to be. So we can just average all these numbers to kind of get a blended forecast. So I'm just going to plug this in. 85 plus 65 plus 55 plus 74. We get 279. You divide that by 4, obviously. And you're getting an average forecast of 70%. So implied vol is 85. Our forecast is 70. We've got a fairly big edge here just looking at the absolute and relative valuation. So we can hop into the options pricing tool and take a look at what that translates to in dollars. I did this morning, so let's see if the price is still about 21 something. It's like 21.33. It's basically the same. So back to the option price. Let's say we sell the 20 strike at the June monthly expiration. What does a 85 vol look like? So the 20 straddle should be about $4.50 or so. I'm just going to open Thinkorswim to see if it is, in fact, about that price. I've already forgotten the price. $4.50, yes. So we go here, and if we sell the straddle, the price is $4, so $4.50. The mid is exactly where we thought it would be. That's good. Our forecast, if we remember correctly, is about 70%. So plugging this in, we're going from $4.50 to $3.7. So that's a pretty big edge, I'd say. Where'd my calculator go? But that's okay. I'll just plug it in here. 4.5 minus 3.77. Yes, my math is that bad. We've got $73 of edge. So that's not bad, actually, especially over a month. Let me check how much margin this thing requires. If I hit confirm and send, oh, that's not right, because this is portfolio margin, and I don't think I can pull up IB right now because that's my real account and I don't really want to do that. But if I remember correctly, it's about like $1,500 to like $2,000 in margin. So let's just quickly check. What's 70? Was it 70? Yeah, $70 divided by 2,000 in margin. That's like 3% return in a month. That's pretty good. So yeah, let's stress this so that we know we won't blow up, and then maybe put that trade on. Just looking at the historical data, we're seeing like the biggest vol spike is maybe from here, like from 90 to like 122. So let's say like we stress it to like a 30% vol move, and maybe, I don't know, what's the steepest drop down here? Maybe like 50 to like 40. So let's say like the stock moves like 30% in vol and 30% for like actual spot move. We go to analyze trade here. Oh, nice, I've already plugged this in. So 30% moves, vol goes up. Let's say, is this the right straddle? 265, that doesn't sound right. Let's do that again. Let's go back here, analyze this one. We're moving at 30, we're moving the vol. Yeah, the price is right now. Let's move the vol up 30 as well. What does that look like for us? So let's say you put the straddle on and tomorrow you wake up, stock is down 30%, vols are up 30%. That's around here, you're down $200. Or it goes up here, you're down $400. That's probably because the spot price is like already 21 or something like that. If you delta hedge, you're probably looking at like $300 on each side. So if your risk tolerance is around like 300 or more, you can put this on. It's $70 an edge, about 3% return on margin in a month or so. And yeah, that's my daily vol trade from the scanner. After this, we can move on to some earnings trades and some calendar trades. And if you guys have any ideas after that, we can analyze those too. But before we do that, do you guys have any questions about SLG? If not, we can move on. All right, let's keep going then. Let's see, earnings insights. Let's see what we have for today. We're doing today's earnings. I'm probably gonna want to change these columns a little bit. I want to see name, sector, that sort of stuff. Let's look for stocks where it's like $20 or more with like enough volume. And we're only seeing one stock here. It's $70. And there's not even a weekly option. So that's a little disappointing. But considering the weekly is like, what, 9 days expiration right now? 8? We can take a look at this. But it's kind of... Oh, that's actually quite nice. The implied move is small, though, so that's kind of interesting. We've got half the implied earnings move of like normally. You can see IEM over average IEM is like 0.5. So I'm not super convinced this is going to be a good trade, especially since the average is like 4%. But it seems like, you know, historically the straddle's lost a lot of money, which means selling it is going to make a lot. Looking at the quarterly, it looks like the maximum for this quarter is like 5%. But yeah, given that the implied earnings move is so small, I don't think I really like this trade at all. So I guess today's just a day I get to like sleep at night knowing that there's no earnings. Don't really have to stress about it. Moving on to forward vol then. Let's do our clean filter. Let's have a few extra columns. A few less of these ones. Let's see what we find today. So I don't want to trade mergers and acquisitions. I want stocks that are $20 or more. I want enough option volume. That seems fine. I want to trade weeklies. And I don't want earnings. What do we end up with? So we're seeing like maybe like 4 or 5 stocks where the forward factor is above 20%, but we immediately throw a healthcare stocks because they're probably like FDA approvals and whatnot. And we're left with financial services. We covered this earlier last week, I think. This is a pretty decent trade. That leaves us with EWZ. The term structure looks a little interesting. It's generally upward sloping, but you've got one point here where the vol is like super high. So I wonder what is up with that. I'm gonna look on Thinkorswim just to see We're doing a little investigation here, boys. Easy. I don't really see that in the brokerage. We've got weeklies that are expensive, but then it's like 30 and a 35. Yeah, I guess the June is a little expensive, but it's like by like 1 point or 2. So I don't really think there is a trade here today either for forward vol, but you know, that's okay. You do these scans every day. Sometimes you pick up something, sometimes you don't. There's not much you can do if there's nothing to trade. So yeah, I guess that's our daily scan for today. If anyone has any stocks they're looking at, now's the time. I can see if I can analyze something for you guys. You looking at anything today, Great Square?
From that, though, I'm just kind of waiting to see maybe the overall sentiment now that CPI PPI is out. It seems a little bit mixed still. You know, you have bond yields falling again. TLT is getting bought, so it's a little bit unclear what the reaction from all this is. But otherwise, yeah, I didn't see much in terms of short vol.
Yeah, it's just seeming like a slow day today, hey?
Yeah.
Let me take a quick check at TLT to see if anything's particularly interesting. No, not really. Yeah. Anyone else have any trades they're looking at, or is it slow for everyone else too? Yeah, it's kind of looking like one of those days where you just sit back and relax, I guess. So, if there is nothing else, we can wrap this up, and hopefully there's better stuff to trade tomorrow. Thanks for showing up, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for running it. Appreciate it.
Cheers.